What up, guys? Your boy Quake, and 50 Cent is taking on all comers. No Diddy. I know that sounded crazy, but 50 has decided to respond to essentially what seems like a bunch of people are going to be gathering together to try to destroy 50's image. There's even some PR stuff coming out that makes 50 look crazy. Just recently, they had an article come out about 50 Cent settling an assault case. And if you actually go over the case, the story basically is there's an SUV driving. 50 was in that SUV. The door of the SUV was opened. It ended up hitting a person, a guy, and that person fell over, got injured a little bit, and the guy ended up suing. All 50 did was settle that case. But if you actually look at the title of the article, it would seem like 50 settled an assault case of him like abusing a woman or something like that towards the same thing that Diddy did. And the way they titled it was like 50 settles assault case right before the Diddy documentary comes out. So if you just read the title, it looks crazy. But if you actually read the article, you know, it's just an incident of, hey, I see a celebrity in the SUV that hit me with the door. I'm suing because I want some money in my pocket. And rightfully so. I would have done the same thing, right? If you get hit by a celebrity that, accidentally by something, of course you're going to sue. You're going to try to get some money out of it. 50 was like, why fight this? It happened. Get your little money, and that's it. Things like that happen all the time with celebrities. There's nothing new about that. But that coming out and being titled the way it was titled is a clear PR move by either Diddy's team, somebody else that we don't know of that wants to make 50 look bad. And right now, Ja Rule is somebody that's really pushing to try to make 50 look horrible, which, he's got his own demons and stuff that, let's just make it very clear that a lot of these rappers in this industry aren't perfect. These guys aren't role models, so you shouldn't look up to them. But unfortunately, in celebrity culture, a lot of people do. That's not to say that, one's not worse than the other, right? Diddy's got way more accusations, way more crazier things. And we've actually seen him in 4K, not even 4K videos, just video in general of stomping Cassie out. I mean, at that point, that's, clear evidence. So I'm going to go over what 50 Cent said, and then I'm going to go over the accusations and the stuff, his past, basically, that's being put out there, and kind of just going to go over it and give my thoughts on it and what I think a lot of this stuff stems from, and do I think these accusations have any merit to them, and so on and so forth. Because I know a lot of people are asking me, hey, Quake, you're ducking 50 stuff. Why don't you talk about his stuff? And, and here's the thing. When I covered the Diddy case, I said it multiple times on the podcast. I said, hey, let's wait and see if there's actual evidence that comes out, because accusations are just accusations. Unless you got solid proof, the chances that, people should believe you is right in the middle. You shouldn't sway towards Diddy's side, and you shouldn't sway towards the person accusing. It should be right in the middle. Let the courts deal with it with whatever evidence they got, and then you can make a decision. But once that Cassie video came out of Diddy stomping her, I said, okay, this guy is at least a domestic abuser of violence, towards females. He at least does that. There's proof of that, And the other stuff, still at the end of the day, accusations. And he is serving some time from some of that stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff surrounding Diddy is accusations. He's got like 100 lawsuits. 14 of them were dismissed. And like 86 of them or 83 of them are still active, which is crazy. That's a lot of accusations. But Diddy's had a history. Like that female that got shot in the face during the 1999 shooting with Jennifer Lopez, she said Diddy was the one that did it. It wasn't Shine. Shine took the fall for it. She was the one that clearly said. So those type of, like, when you have that type of history of like potentially shooting somebody in the face, clearly there's something going on where you're kind of off the rails. But let's go over what 50 said first on his Instagram post, and then I'm going to go over what Ja Rule is accusing him. And basically there's a list of stuff that people are throwing towards 50 and saying, oh, he's just as bad as Diddy. Why is he, doing this Diddy documentary when he's got just as bad as a past, and so on and so forth. So let's go over first this Instagram post, which I thought was interesting. So he posted a comment that somebody posted, and this guy said, tell Fifth that Ja Rule and his first baby mama started following each other on IG an hour ago. Prepare for the worst. Jay-Z, Ja Rule, Rock Nation, Desiree Perez are all out to get him out the paint. Alert. Hashtag alert. Now, if you don't know Rock Nation, Desiree Perez has ties with a lot of FBI, CIA stuff. So whenever she's involved, people have speculated she has like insane basically pull in the industry and, can get a lot of things going and make things a lot worse for people. Let's just say that. That's the rumor or conspiracy. There's no valid proof of that. I know Nicki Minaj has gone at Jay-Z a few times, but that's just the rumor conspiracy that, hey, Roc Nation is connected to the CIA, FBI, and they do all kinds of crazy stuff to people and, put out certain narratives, right? That's what it is with Roc Nation and Jay-Z and all that. And then Ja Rule, following his first baby mama, Shaniqua Tompkins, he's been going on this whole rant after the documentary came out and basically saying, I'm going to make my own documentary going against 50, and it's going to have all these victims in there and all this stuff. But that's another whole story that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But he posts that comment, and then 50 posts the caption and says, F them all. My momentum make them all get together, LOL. So he's saying, I don't care. Like, F them all. It doesn't matter to me. That doesn't matter, which to me says that, one, either he really truly doesn't care about his past and what he's done. He could care less if people bring it to light. Doesn't matter to him. Or two, he never really did anything in his past for people to go at him for. There's no solid evidence, at least. That's because when you do these type of documentaries, you better make sure that you're clear in the go, because people are going to go in your history and your past. And, people are doing that with 50 and saying, hey, this, and this, right? So 50 is just saying, F them all. I'm going to go against all of them. Doesn't matter to me, which is dope to hear, because that's someone that clearly isn't scared of their history and their past, which is a good sign. Somebody who's not afraid of people to dig into their past. That basically means like, hey, I have a clean past. But let's go over what Ja Rule has been pushing out there. He's had like millions of tweets. Ever since this documentary came out, Ja Rule has had like this onslaught of tweets going at 50. I'm not going to go over them because he's just like throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks, right? But yeah, I'm going to go over this article where this lady basically wrote a letter to Netflix and said, hey, 50 is this bad person and he's done all these bad things. Please don't have him work on the documentary, so on and so forth. And some of these I can debunk like in an instant, because some of this stuff is clear as day, just money grabs. It's clear as day. And I'm saying this even like, because people are going to comment and be like, oh, you're just defending 50, blah, blah, blah. I said the same thing with Diddy. Even on the Diddy documentary, some of these people in that documentary, it's clear as day that they're bitter that they didn't get paid. So, of course, they're going to stretch the truth. They're probably, who's to say that, some of that stuff is true? We don't know. But they're going to have their own formed opinions because they're not happy they're not paid, right? Usually these type of accusations come when money isn't going to that person anymore, or the relationship falls out, or there's no benefit from that person anymore. So they go to the route of, hey, I'm going to destroy your image. I'm going to accuse you of X, Y, and Z. And we've seen that happen where, I forget that football player's name, but a female accused him of doing bad things to her. And come to find out, nothing happened. The evidence showed nothing. He did nothing. And his whole career was derailed. He ended up serving prison time for no reason. She ended up years later saying, I lied, I apologize. And that's the problem. Like, any male or female that accuses someone of crazy stuff like that, and then later on come to find out they were lying, they should face jail time as well, because that's messed up. And that applies for anybody, even Diddy. Even though Diddy's had a bad history, if there's, out of those 83 lawsuits, a lot of them are people lying and it's clear as day, they should face some punishment for that. It's messed up. You can't just accuse people of things without any proof. And I said that on the podcast with the Diddy situation before, until the Cassie video came out. I was like, okay, there's clearly this guy's, a bad person if he's doing that to Cassie. So first, let's go over the list of accusations that even on the social media, people are going crazy and saying, oh, 50 is just as bad as a person, blah, 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 right? So first, there was a lawsuit filed by his first baby mama, Shaniqua Tompkins. Now, I don't like to go in celebrities' personal life. I never really have, but because of this whole story coming up of people accusing him of things and then accusing Diddy and all this crazy stuff, I was like, you know what? Let me actually talk about 50's past and this so-called dark past that people are accusing him of, right? So the first is Shaniqua Tompkins, his baby mama, his first baby mama with his first child, where they're not cool. 50 doesn't speak to his first child anymore for various reasons. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because it's just a lot of stuff. Long story short, 50 felt she wasn't raising their son properly. His son ended up being spoiled a lot. And at one point, his baby mama was asking 50 to buy his son 50 pairs of shoes, which is crazy, just so he can stunt in school and all this crazy stuff, right? So these accusations, and here's the crazy thing, and this is why I say I don't really believe her. Now, she could be telling the truth. I don't know. There's no solid proof of anything, whether someone's lying or not. But you can kind of see the trail of things and see whether this person is being genuine, right? So when she was getting paid child support of $40,000 a month, and we're talking, this is like 2006, 2007, 2008, before, like adjusted for inflation, we're probably looking at like 80,000 a month, because the inflation has gone crazy where, it's probably worth 80,000, maybe 70,000 a month, right? Adjusted for inflation in today's money. So she was getting paid 40,000 a month, which if you do the math is $500,000 a year for child support, which we can all agree is insane, right? That's a lot of money for one child to take care of. And funny enough, she got greedier, went to the judge and asked for more money. Mind you, the judge looked over everything as she came in there requesting for a lot more money. And the judge said, you're overpaying 50. You're overpaying for child support. So we're going to reduce this child support from $40,000 a month to $6,700 a month. And what did she do? She got bitter. This is somebody that's extremely greedy. If you're getting $40,000 a month and you want more and more, you've lost your mind. That's out of touch with reality. Because first off, $6,700 a month for child support is more than the average American makes. And they're working 9 to 5. They're working long hours to try to make that a month. Most Americans don't make that a month. I think the average is like $4,000 a month if you're lucky. So one, $6,700 a month is more, it's above average. Two, $40,000 a month that she was getting was insane. $500,000. This is before inflation. If you add that up now, it's probably $1 million a year. And she was still greedy to try to get more. So once that happened, all of a sudden, these accusations, all of a sudden, he used to do this to me, used to beat me, used to this, used to that. There was no accusations before that. When you were getting the money, there's no problems, right? And then there's the accusation of him burning the house down where there's no proof of that. She could have burned it down herself because she got upset that 50 decided to get her out of his house. He said, hey, you're no longer allowed to live here. Find your own place. Mind you, while he said this to her, she was getting $40,000 a month. She could easily find her own place with that kind of money. But what was she doing? She was blowing it on all kinds of dumb things. Because for $40,000 a month in that time, in 2006, 2005, 2007, you could easily find a house. Houses back then were way cheaper. But that's the thing. She blew her money. She wasn't smart with her money. So what happens is she got bitter. Hey, 50's this multi-millionaire does vitamin water deal around this time too. Mind you, this is 2008. He had just closed his vitamin water deal and he got reportedly $100 million. So how do you think somebody would feel after that? Somebody that makes you get out your house, you got your child support reduced. So that burning house thing, not to say that it is her. I don't know if it's 50, but there's no proof. That's the point of this whole thing is proof. You have to have proof before you accuse somebody of something. And unfortunately, online, a lot of people just don't understand that. They see an accusation and just, that's what the person did. It's like, no, you have to have proof for things. And that applies for everybody. I'm not just saying this for 50. I said the same thing for Diddy. When all these accusations guys said, you need some type of proof. And that's how the real world works. Anyways, continuing on, she then decided, since the child support was reduced, the house ended up getting burned. She then decided, hey, I'm going to sue 50 Cent for $50 million. That was her lawsuit. And her argument was that 50 had promised me, to pay for my lifestyle, to pay for everything, and me not have to worry about money because when he was broke and I had money, I was taking care of him. And that's a valid point, right? She was holding it down when 50 was trying to, do his career, try to have his career going. That's a huge respect. Round of applause to her. That's not easy. But he was paying you literally $500,000 a year, and you still weren't satisfied. $500,000 a year. On top of that, he had set you up in a house. On top of that, two things. So set up in a house and $500,000 a year. And still, you were bitter, sad, upset, mad, whatever the case may be. And that's the problem here. And on top of that, you're teaching your kid to be spoiled. 50 pairs of shoes is insane to want.
She's mad at you.
Hey,
You set her up.
I don't even know her. Look at this, right?
What's good?
I'm having more issues with my son's mother.
Holy shit. Put the music down.
No, you don't got no issues with me.
Yeah, you live on the radio.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Now tell him how you told my son to call me and tell me he need 50 pairs of sneakers for back to school.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
You said he said somebody else got a whole bunch of pairs of sneakers.
He said a boy in his class hunted on him and said he has 50 pairs of sneakers. And Marquise said, how the hell does he have 50 pairs of sneakers? And his father's a lawyer. My dad's on the Forbes list. That's exactly.
Yeah, then why you didn't be a responsible parent and say, look, you don't need 50 pairs of shoes.
20 pair. That is a responsible parent. he could do 20. That's responsible.
20 pairs of sneakers.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
I don't have kids, so I can't comment.
You ain't average.
I'm sorry, boss.
The boss ain't average.
All right, everybody just heard you.
So that's the first baby mama. That's why I don't really believe her. She flip-flops. She has all ulterior motives when it comes to a lot of this stuff. And, she had alleged in 2005 that in the offices of Violator Records, which is Chris Lighty, who's 50's manager at the time, Jackson violently assaulted plaintiff by grabbing her hair, pushing her to the floor, and choking her until she signed a release in connection with the film Get Rich or Die Trying. So she was saying basically, you can't make the Get Rich or Die Trying movie without, paying for my rights to be in the movie for our story because it's my story too, right? And then she alleges that, hey, he did all this, he abused me just so I can sign the papers and do that, right? I don't know if it's true or not, but there's no proof. That's the thing, is like you can accuse anybody of anything. Who knows? It could be true. And if it is, 50's a piece of shit. It's that simple. There's really no blurring the lines on this. It's really just that simple, but there's no proof. That's the problem with this stuff. And people are running online with these narratives. No proof. The interesting thing about this, though, like I said, is she tried to do like a tell-all kind of story. And she signed, and this is what she did. She signed her like personal life rights away for like storytelling and stuff for $80,000. So clearly she was hurting for money. Once that child support went down, 50 being a smart person, I mean, this is not a bad thing. This isn't anything that, like you can look at and be like, oh, he's a horrible person for doing that. No, it's a smart, hey, if you want to tell your story, let me first buy your rights to your story, and then we'll figure out if we want to tell your story. He bought her rights, gave her $80,000. Mind you, this is a woman who is just married to a famous guy. That's it. She wasn't officially married to him, but she was just had a kid with the famous guy. That's it. She's done nothing to progress, in her life or anything. Like 50 did all the work and put him in this position. So 50 said, hey, I'll give you $80,000 to get your rights, blah, blah, blah. She then tried to start her own life story mentioning 50, and 50 shut that down because he has her life rights. Hey, sucks to suck. Be smart on how you're signing papers and what you're doing. And this wasn't the first allegation where she signed the little Get Rich or Die Trying movie. This is later down the line. 50 didn't. She doesn't say anything about 50 putting her hands on her this time. She just wanted $80,000. Well, that's your fault. Had you not signed that $80,000, and got that money, you probably could have done your own life story and told 50's life story. But now you can't because you signed away the rights because you're money greedy. You don't think about the future and what to do. You're just money greedy person. And you'll see a theme with the women that accuse him of abuse are the ones that don't have money. The ones that have never accused 50 of abuse, Chelsea Handler, Sierra, Vivica A. Fox, those are three women who have money. They've never said 50's abused them, never said anything along, like they said he's a sweetheart. Yeah, Vivica and 50 had some little back and forth, little fun back and forth, but that's it. Sierra's never said anything bad about him. Vivica's never said anything bad about him. Chelsea Handler's never said anything bad about him. And those are all women with money. They don't need his money. They don't need to make accusations to try and get money out of the guy. But these women that are accusing it, they're all broke. It's crazy how you can get $500,000 a year and still somehow not be smart with the money and be broke. Just doesn't make any sense to me. But this is exactly what happens. These type of situations, people get bitter You got to think these guys are multi-millionaires, to an extent billionaires. Diddy was a billionaire. 50, we don't know, whatever. But these guys are high status that no matter what female they're with, if a female feels like, hey, this guy just abandoned me, and, you know, they can be bitter immediately and start making accusations. It's that easy. It's that simple. It can happen to any regular person, let alone a celebrity who's got all kinds of resources and money. Continuing on, now we're going to his second baby mama, Daphne Joy, who was one of the people that actually went up to the stand during the Diddy trial and basically testified about her story, so on and so forth. Mind you, this is a woman who allowed Diddy to do horrible things to her for only $10,000 a month. Basically said, hey, you can do whatever you want to me. I just need my lifestyle to be upkept. That's the crazy thing. So let's keep that in mind of what kind of woman this woman is, the second woman that alleges him of abuse. This is a woman who's willing to basically sell her whole body for 10 G's a month to keep up with her lifestyle. That's what she said. That's what all the papers and documents said, that Diddy was basically doing crazy things with her and paying her money. So in 2013, Jackson was charged with 1 count of domestic violence. Now, here's this article, twists it. This is what I'm saying. When they write these things, you have to really look into it, right? You can look at it and say 1 count of domestic violence, that's bad, right? That means he must have did something. When you actually deep dive into it, domestic violence can be you just breaking things. That's it. That can be domestic violence, if you just getting mad and breaking something. So if you and your husband or wife are in an argument and you break something, and she calls the police, and she says, oh, he got mad, broke this whatever TV behind me, whatever the case may be, that can be domestic violence. That can be a domestic violence charge. So not even putting your hands on somebody, just verbally abusing them, not even doing anything physical, just verbally or breaking things around the house can be domestic violence, right? Because it can cause terror, it can scare somebody. I get that, right? But the way this article writes it is like, oh, he was charged with domestic violence, like he got, so people that don't look into it, it'll be like, oh, this guy actually got a charge, right? And then 4 counts of vandalism against Daphne Joy, the mother of one of his children. Los Angeles City Attorney Mike Furry said during an argument, Jackson allegedly began destroying property. Allegedly, when Joy locked herself in the room, Jackson kicked open the door and kicked her, causing an injury. Now, when this actually, went into the trial and not really a trial, but when it went to court and stuff, the judge basically said there's no evidence that any of this happened. Yeah, things were destroyed. There's evidence of that, but that's it. So he got hit with 1 count of vandalism. That's it. Vandalism is you breaking your shit. That's it. And here's the interesting thing, right? 50 got asked about this in 2014 on Breakfast Club, and he addressed it head on. So check out this clip. So this is the results. Police found broken chandeliers and furniture throughout the home. The bedroom was ransacked with a television and lamp broken. A release said Jackson struck a deal for 3 years probation and 30 days of community service, pleading no contest, meaning not guilty, just saying, hey, I'm not guilty, but I'll accept whatever you throw at me, judge, for the punishment. To a single count misdemeanor vandalism, 3 vandalism counts, and 1 count of misdemeanor domestic violence were all dropped. So the actual domestic violence was dropped, never happened. He was ordered to pay $7,100 in restitution and $2,390 in fines. Now, people will say, well, if he didn't do anything, why did he get probation? Well, here's the crazy thing, right? When you're in an argument, the police, and I've seen this on police body cams, they will like have to do something to separate you guys because it can get worse as time goes on. Because as you get into arguments, obviously things can get more heated and things can get way worse. So doing a probation to make sure they're separated and not in close proximity with each other can avoid future problems, right? And here's the thing. Within literally, when this happened, it was in October of 2013. In summer of 2014, he was with her, like hanging out, no problems, nothing. So that probation got dropped. Everything got dropped. She said, I don't, none of that stuff matters to me. We're good. That's it. Now, I know in domestic violence, it can be good, bad, right? So I totally get that. But after that, there was no problems ever. Nothing. She then did, a one-time on Instagram, accuse him of stuff. She ended up taking it down because clearly it was out of spite because of all the stuff going on with Diddy. She just threw that up there. And she took it all down, basically apologized, said, hey, what I said wasn't really, what was going on. So let's go on the next one. 2015, Lastonia Leviston sued Jackson for posting a sex tape she made with former boyfriend without her consent and narrated it with cruel commentary. Lastonia Leviston wiped away tears as her attorney described the graphic video with commentary by Jackson, picking apart Leviston's physical flaws and trashing her as a slut. Now, mind you, if you don't know the context of this, now this is a bad thing, obviously. I don't, this is stupid. 50 on 50's end, this was probably one of the dumbest things that he could have done. But he wasn't, I think he was in beef. He was beefing with Rick Ross. Rick Ross, that is one of Rick Ross's baby mamas. She was an escort. And she had a bunch of, this isn't like 50 released the tape for the first time ever in public. This was a tape that was available for purchase. Now, what 50 did was brought more light to it, which as a celebrity, obviously he's got way more millions of followers. So he took that tape, put it on one of his more vulgar websites, which is Boo Boo TV, on that website, and he decided to commentate over it, which was a dumb move on 50's end. I don't agree with this. This was stupid. And, he lost the lawsuit, ended up paying her a couple million, I think, or somewhere around the case, because he ended up filing bankruptcy. So he had to, restructure things. So she got some money out of the situation. But she wasn't literally an escort. She was doing this stuff. She was recording on video. So she had no problem when she was putting it out. But when 50 narrated and commented over it, all of a sudden it's a huge problem. It's because he's a celebrity. If anybody else commented on it or narrated over it, I don't think she would have cared. But it's 50. It's a good money, play. And kudos to her. She got her money. But that's the case with this one. Do I agree with it? No. I think it was stupid on 50's end. But overall, he was beefing with Rick Ross. So he was trying to get back at him by doing all this kind of crazy stuff. And it backfired. It wasn't a smart thing to do, right? So, yeah, that was that. The next one is this girl that he dated for a little bit named Tatted Up Holly. And this is what the article says. In 2015, Jackson wrote a slut-shaming caption under an image of his ex-girlfriend, Tatted Up Holly, on Instagram. He said, "This hoe community, you know what?" Holly responded, posting an alleged text conversation between the two. Now, this is where you don't know if this is a real conversation. This could be somebody faking and just writing back and forth, you don't know what text messages. A lot of people have done that to make things look a lot worse, right? She posted the text messages and it said, "You got way more to lose than me." Her text to Jackson reads, "Let's see how these pics I got of you beating my will look." And 50 allegedly, this is 50, said, "Don't do nothing stupid, Holly. Let's calm down." Holly posted a note along with the text. And she said, "You are nothing but a manipulating woman beater. You're a bully, puts fear in everybody. Heart mistaken it for respect. I treated this man like royalty, but all I got in return was, whoopings. And I'm sorry, I will not tolerate a grown man putting their hands on me. I was good before you. I will be good without you," right? Within days, Holly's posts were down, and Jackson posted a gushing apology. He said, "Public apology. This woman is a good person. She has been a great friend to me for a year. I enjoy seeing her grow and progress in so many ways in a short period of time. I have no interest in seeing her down. She's a winner at heart, so she will always win. And that's it. Those are the accusations from women. That's it. The Holly one is the only one where I can look at and be like, okay, if those text messages are real and if she actually has photos. But even, and I know this sounds crazy, but even photos can be manipulated, right? From Photoshop, and they can be manipulated because there's been people that have been actually hitting themselves. They hit themselves to get themselves bruises to accuse the other person of doing it. And that's how crazy some relationships can get. Like, it can get to a level of that, right? But yeah, this is the only one where I'm looking at it from like a different angle of like, okay, this could potentially be true. But Holly, because all this stuff was brought up, Holly actually responded to all this stuff because it got brought up, and, you know, with all this Diddy documentary stuff, she decided to respond and said this: with everything resurfacing online, I want to make a brief statement. I am aware that my name has been mentioned again due to other people's disagreements. I do not wish to be a part of anyone's feud or negativity. What happened in my past was my experience, and I've healed and grown from it. I have no desire to speak badly on anyone. I wish everyone peace, success, and continued growth in life. I simply ask that people respect my space and not use the past as fuel for drama. I am focused on my future, my peace, and my daughter. So she's not saying, hey, he did something, he didn't do something. She's just saying, hey, I don't want to be in this mess. Now, Ja Rule is obviously taken, to this and has like, I'm going to make my own documentary. I'm going to produce this. And there's going to be a huge storm of PR articles and titles just attacking 50 because of this whole Diddy thing. And some of it's going to be funded by Diddy and his team, obviously, to destroy 50's image. And, some of it will probably be funded by, I don't know who else. I'm not going to throw accusations of Rock Nation and Jay-Z and all this stuff. I can see Ja Rule doing it, obviously, but that's really about it. I mean, we don't know with these situations. Until there's solid proof, we can throw accusations all over the place. But Diddy's had way crazier stuff accused of. 50 got these 3 women, and 2 of them, especially the first one, the first baby mama, she's got way too much stuff where she's like money and it's just all about money. Like her, I'm going to be honest, I just don't believe at all. I could be wrong, and, I hope, and here's the thing, and this is the crazy thing, right? We should want none of this to be true. We should want none of these guys to be abusing people. Like, it's kind of crazy when, like, let's just say 50 in the future, right, gets caught abusing a female, right? There's going to be so many people cheering for that and saying, oh, my God, like 50 finally got caught. Yes, he's an abuser. Like, you shouldn't want somebody to be an abuser. That makes no sense. Like, why would you want somebody to get abused just because you don't like the person to see their downfall? And that applies to everybody. I said the same thing with Diddy. All this stuff, I've said the same thing. I've kept it consistent because you need proof. These are just simply accusations. I can accuse you, the viewer, of liking turtles. Now, is that a bad accusation? No, obviously it doesn't do any harm to you. And turtles are pretty cool. But, maybe you don't like them. And that's just an accusation. I have no proof of it, right? That's my point in all this is, and here's the thing. I didn't even report on the Jay-Z story of that kid that thinks that like Jay-Z's his father, and he's like, yo, Jay-Z's my dad, and he's been ignoring me. I never reported on those stories because I was like, man, this is BS. I don't believe this at all. Now, could I be wrong? But so far it's been proving me right where I don't believe any of this stuff. So there's a lot of these stories that come out against celebrities where it's just an accusation. It's just something thrown out there to make the person look bad. And, people can actually hire people to do these type of PR stunts to make certain people look bad. To just say, hey, this guy's a bad person because 3 women out of all the women he's been with, all the women he's dated, the rich women that dated him said, hey, he's a sweetheart. I've had no issues with this guy ever in my life. But the ones that need money, the ones that are in a situation where, especially the first baby mama, the second one too, she literally did the crazy stuff with Diddy, like I said, but you have to look at it from certain lenses. And the same thing with Diddy. Like I said, in the Diddy documentary, some people were, they're money motivated. That's just the reality of the situation. Some people are money motivated. They don't care. They want their money, and they don't care if they make somebody look bad and destroy their whole image. But that's the situation. I decided to go over all that because a lot of people are asking me to go over it. Other accusations on this article is like 50 making fun of Terry Crews for the abuse he had woohoo, 50's been a troll and doing that his whole life. That's nothing new, but some people get sensitive over that stuff. I could care less about that. If any of this becomes true, right, from 50 on 50's end, if any of this is true, obviously he's a bad person. There's no twist in the narrative. I'm a huge 50 fan, but I'm not delusional. Like, I can sit there and be like, yeah, this is a bad person for doing this shit. Anybody that does this is a bad person. But at the end of the day, this is just accusations. He hasn't been ever charged with actually putting his hands on a female. None of this stuff. And he's addressed it head on whenever people have asked him. He didn't duck it like Diddy has done quite a few times when they ask about certain things. He actually addresses it head on. And for him to do this Diddy documentary shows that, his past he's not worried about, because he feels, hey, I haven't done anything in my past that's really, worthy of, tearing me down. But we'll see. We'll see what happens down the line. I'm not saying 50's perfect. I highly doubt it. None of these celebrities are perfect. They're human beings at the end of the day. Don't idolize them. Don't treat them as role models, because they're not perfect. None of them are. Even Ja Rule, who's throwing stones, his friend who died, Irv Gotti, had a lot of accusations and allegations thrown against him. But he's not addressing that. He doesn't care to say anything about that. And Irv Gotti's, dead, so obviously that's not the best thing to be mentioning. But Ja Rule as well. He's literally rapped about doing ecstasy with women and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's led to all kinds of stuff where Jennifer Lopez even got involved, and Ashanti said that I don't want to get involved in that stuff. So everybody to a certain extent has some skeletons in the closet, but some people are just way worse. And you can't compare Diddy to a 50. That's just like the dumbest thing ever that you can compare. Diddy's way worse to a longer extent, right? Diddy's like in the category of Jeffrey Epstein, R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, these type of people, right? And 50's kind of more in the category of like, okay, he's a pretty messed up person here and there, but there's no proof that he's done any of this stuff. There's just a few people accusing him. It happens. You're rich, you get accused of a lot of things, right? That's just the normal of it. A lot of people have been accused of a lot of things that are rich, and they've never done those things. But yeah, that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. And 50 doesn't care, clearly, as you saw in the Instagram post. So we'll see what happens. That's it for today's video. If you guys want to support this channel further, you can do so at patreon.com/diverse mentality. For just $3 a month, you can get my videos uncut and raw the way I intended them to be, but couldn't because of YouTube. Plus, you also get access to our Discord community, where we have a great community talking about hip-hop and various other things. It's very dope. So only $3 a month. I'd really appreciate the support. Also, follow us on social media at QuakeGW and at Diverse Mentality. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.